This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. I'm Marek Mazurek. The small town of Merom sits on the Wabash River, a stone's throw from the Illinois border, and it once was a regional epicenter of arts and culture. Now locals are mounting a campaign to save one of the town's iconic buildings, College Hall. Finished in about 1860, College Hall was the centerpiece of Union Christian College, but it's now on Indiana Landmarks' 10 most endangered list. The director of Indiana Landmarks' Western Regional Office, Tommy Kleckner, told Inside Indiana Business that the organization wants to raise College Hall's profile as the first step towards preserving it.
Indiana made the decision to list College Hall on our 10 most endangered as a proactive approach to start to raise awareness about the building, just make the people in Indiana and across the country aware that this amazing landmark is here in western rural Indiana.
College Hall currently serves as a place for retreats, camps, and meetings. With the restoration, there are hopes of creating a cultural learning center and welcoming even more community members and groups in. Indiana's unemployment rose 0.1% to 4.3% in September. Despite the increase, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development said Tuesday that the state added a modest 800 private sector jobs last month. September's unemployment rate marked the sixth consecutive month-over-month increase. Indiana saw job growth primarily in the private education and health services industries as well as construction. The state's labor force participation rate rose 0.3% to 63%, which is barely higher than the national rate. The state's unemployment rate is higher than the national rate of 4.1%, which was down 0.1% in September. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Indiana, your bold future starts here. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage Indiana series, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. With an unrelenting focus on growing Indiana's economy, our Engage Indiana events take place in every region of the state. Discover when we'll be in your area at ibj.com/engage.
A local developer involved in a couple of high-profile commercial real estate projects is suing his business partner for allegedly shutting him out of the company's operations earlier this year. Drew Loftus, a principal with Indianapolis-based Silverstone Development, claims in a 6-page filing with the Marion County Superior Court that he has not had access to the company's offices, calendars, or financial records since May, when his partner, Dale Jones, allegedly severed his involvement in the firm. Loftus and Jones have been partners since late 2021. The pair created Silverstone LLC, which includes the $85 million Kimpton Hotel, now taking shape in downtown Indianapolis, and ownership of the long-stalled Wilshaw Inn Speedway. The firm also owns the J.F. Lyle building downtown on Market Street. The lawsuit asks a judge to rule that Johns is required to let Loftus inspect the company's business records. Filings say the two have been in talks about a potential buyout for Loftus, but none has materialized. Indianapolis-based Spectron RX announced Thursday that the radiopharmaceutical company has executed a binding agreement with a Belgian company to manufacture a promising cancer therapy for patients in Europe. The agreement with the Belgian Nuclear Research Center will focus on the labeling of actinium-225-based radiopharmaceuticals. Spectron RX says clinical trials indicate that actinium-225 can be a, quote, exceptional tool for fighting a variety of cancers. The agreement advances a deal struck last year to establish Spectron RX's first European radiolabeling facility. Spectron RX will provide equipment and procedures, while the Belgian Nuclear Research Center will provide researchers and lab technicians to meet manufacturing needs. The new facility is expected to be completed by November and operational in the first quarter of next year. And the city of Mount Vernon is using a 3-year grant from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources to create a community forestry program. The initiative includes conducting a tree inventory, assembling a tree board, and increasing the city's tree canopy. The Posey County town was among 16 Indiana communities that received $2 million in funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program. Mount Vernon was awarded the highest amount at just over $212,000. Local environmental officials say they're aiming to plant 250 trees over the course of 3 years. They'll focus on Mount Vernon's east side as it's dealt with pollution historically. Director of the Idle George Art Museum, Catherine High, is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast hosted by Gary Dick, presented by PNC. A weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.